Hi guys, it's Steffi from the Novelty Corner. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Books Beside My Bed video. For those of you who are new here, I film one of these every week where I wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading, and for those who are very familiar with the series, welcome back. This is my reading week from the 9th until the 15th of August. I did read 4 books this week, which makes it one of the slowest reading weeks I've had all year, and it also has one of the lowest page counts for the year. And I'm finding that now that I am home more often, I actually have less time for reading, so go figure. But in all honesty, it's just been a little bit tough. There's been a whole lot of work stuff going on, so it's made finding reading time and prioritizing that a little bit tricky. But that said, I am still reading some really wonderful books and I can't wait to talk about them with you today. I read a total of 977 pages and my yearly reading total is up to 272 books. I have been continuing my MCU rewatch, which included this week Age of Ultron, which has not aged well at all, and Ant-Man, which was just delightful and a palate cleanser for the entire series, I think. So that was quite fun, and I think today, the day that I'm filming on Sunday, we are going to be watching Civil War, which I'm very much looking forward to. Alright, so now onto the books that I read this week. The first book that I read was Living on Stolen Land by Amberlynn Quay-Mulliner. This is a 2020 release from Magabala Books and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It has a simply gorgeous cover and it fits into my Read August bingo board for a book that I want to read more of, because this is all about the Indigenous people of Australia, the history and the severe mistreatment of them, the stolen generation and everything that comes with Australia's very distressing history with the Indigenous population. And it is all told in verse. It is a very tiny little book and it is part history lesson, part call to action, and it's beautiful. There are so many lines in this book, so many little verses that you can pull out that are just absolutely gorgeous. So I highly recommend checking it out. I do adore Amberlynn Quay-Mulliner's work. I've enjoyed her novels, particularly her young adult work. But this was just confronting and eye-opening and very thought-provoking, so it's well worth it for such a tiny little book. Then I read Wonder Woman 84 Ready for Battle, which is a middle grade tie-in to the new Wonder Woman film. This was adapted by Calliope Glass. This is a 2020 release from Scholastic. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a review copy that they sent to me, so thank you very much to them. Look at this cover. This cover is just gorgeous. Essentially, this is, you know, a novelization of I'm assuming it's part of the film because it ends sort of in a spot where you go, but what happens next? We start off with Diana Prince living in Washington, DC in the early 1980s. She is still working for the Smithsonian and she is really struggling to come to terms with everything that has happened to her, and she is really clinging to the love that she had for Steve. And while she's still helping out the citizens, she's trying to keep a low profile, and she's very aware that soon she's probably going to have to move on because more and more people are beginning to see who the mystery woman saving everyone is. In this story, she crosses paths with a woman named Barbara who begins work at the Smithsonian, and the two strike up an unlikely friendship, and Diana thinks this is sort of the start of something new where she can actually have friends and, you know, more connections in the world. And then enter a magical object that causes things to go crazy, and story goes from there. I think for middle grade readers who really enjoy those comic book stories, and especially for younger female readers, this is a really great one to have. I wish there was probably less spent on the romance in this, but it is a big part of the Wonder Woman story, so I get why it was there. Yeah, because it left off on a spot where I was wondering what happened next, I just gave it a 3.5. It was an enjoyable read, it was a quick read, and I am looking forward to seeing the film whenever it is released. Then I reread Sapphire Flames by Lona Andrews. This is book 4 in the Hidden Legacies series. I read the 3.5 novella last week. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars on reread because I forgot what a total sass bomb that Alessandro is, and he's absolutely delightful in this book. This ticked off the read your favorite genre square on my Read August bingo board, and in this we have finally switched main character POVs from Nevada, who was the main character in the first 3 books, to her sister Catalina, who is the middle child in their family. So Catalina Baylor is now head of House Baylor, so this is a world where there is a hierarchy, and the hierarchy is based off houses who have really powerful magic. And House Baylor is a very new house. They're untested and untried, and so they're both looked down on and watched with sort of caution by all the houses, because all the other powerful houses, because they don't know what House Baylor is capable of. So House Baylor is basically a private investigation firm, and they are approached in the middle of the night by an acquaintance from another firm and asked to come and help with a situation where a young boy is standing on the edge of a building. Catalina's abilities are very specific. She is essentially a siren where anyone who hears her voice when she puts her power behind it instantly wants to do everything that they can for her. Their acquaintance Montgomery thinks that she'll be able to talk this boy down off the ledge. She goes and helps and then finds out that the boy is actually the younger brother of Runa, who she met in book 3.5, and sort of considers a loose friend, like they're friendly with one another. And then Catalina discovers that Runa's family has been murdered and no one is looking into it. And so House Baylor gets involved in the investigation, despite everyone saying that they probably shouldn't. And then on top of that, you have the ongoing hilarious relationship between Catalina and Alessandro, who is a count and also a very strong magical prime, who tested Catalina's powers at one point and then was very intrigued by her, but she thinks that he has been bewitched by her powers, and so she doesn't really want anything to do with him because she can't trust his feelings for her. And the two just have the most awesome banter, and it is entirely delightful, and I cannot wait for the next book, which is in the mail. It is going to be here soon. I cannot wait to read that book. I am hanging out for it, guys. And the final book that I read this week was The Lady Rogue by Jen Bennett. You guys know that I love Jen Bennett's work. This is a 2019 release from Simon Pulse. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and this is a historical YA Dracula investigation type story. It's set in the late 1930s, and we are following Theodora, who is the daughter of kind of an adventurer, and we find out that her father is looking for the supposed ring of Vlad the Impaler, and he's been retained by someone else to find the correct ring. When her father goes missing in the hunt for this ring, she finds herself being reunited with her childhood friend and childhood love, Huck, and the two have to sort of cross Eastern Europe in order to find her father and try and save him from whatever mess he's found himself in. You get a lot of ideas around Dracula. You have some magical elements woven into it. It's not strict fantasy. It is definitely sort of more magical realism, historical fiction, and it was honestly just delightful, and I enjoy any sort of story like that that sort of plays with the Dracula myth, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just fun. So those are the 4 books that I read this week. Not a huge number of books, but definitely books that were worth reading, and I highly enjoyed myself. In the comments below, let me know if you have read any of these books or if you are planning on reading them in the future. Otherwise, feel free to let me know in the comments what you have been reading. I would love to know. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.